I will start off with things that are kind of, so typically we start the meeting off with things that we're excited about in our business and the projects that we're working on. So I'll start us off in doing that, and then we'll kind of popcorn around until we're done with that. And then we'll move into the think tank part of this, where we talk through the challenges that we're having in our businesses and work through them together as a group, as a think tank. So something exciting. Last week we were talking about kind of showing up and tracking our work, or just letting people know what's going on in our work, right? And so I've been thinking of some different ways to use actually Clubhouse in doing this, and I'm excited to kind of I'm going to do this. I'm going to try it out for a few weeks and see how it goes, and see if I can keep up with this schedule. But on Mondays and on Fridays, I'm going to do my Regenpreneur journey journal, essentially, on Clubhouse, and then I'm going to record it. And I'm just going to keep on doing that on Monday and Friday, and just kind of give you guys kind of status updates on Monday and Friday, and then invite, if I have someone on the podcast, invite them to Clubhouse to kind of chat about our discussion that we had during the week or whatnot, right? And so maybe invite some of you guys to join me on Clubhouse, and we can have a little bit of chat of what's going on, so people can kind of get a sense of what Regenpreneurs are doing, and kind of journal our efforts from week to week. So that was something that's I'm excited to try that out, and looking forward to doing that. I'm also working on getting our email blasts series a little bit more scheduled out. I should be able to start posting the full versions of these recordings again, and then giving you the access to them on Fridays. At the very least, I'm going to get that done this week, but I'm going to be heading out for a vacation the following week, and then just want to grab some stuff from UTC so we can finish up some mailings for next week to let people know about your presentation the following week. All right, so looks like we got someone else coming in. I'm going to popcorn it over to Natasha because it's her first time. So Natasha, just share something that you're excited about in your business and something that you're moving forward.
So my name is Natasha Quiñones. I am from Puerto Rico, but currently I'm living in Utah. I have a CBD hemp business, and I'm also starting a mushroom farm business. I'm excited because my dad's here and he works in construction. So he's doing an upfront like little store. So he's putting up walls and stuff, and I'm so excited because we can like open up for people, especially for the winter, because we're at the farmers market and it's only until like October. So all those customers can come back to like my store, right? I'll have a space for them. So I'm really excited about that. And challenges, I just want to see this move forward so I can do this full time, right? It's just a matter of time because people are always coming back like, it works, your products works and this works, or like, I'm so excited about this. So it's just a matter of time. And that's pretty much it.
Right on. Well, we'll get into kind of the discussion on challenges and kind of work through those in just a moment, but just popcorn it over to someone else, Natasha, that you'd like to share.
I don't know. I can't see who's here. So let's see. Michael?
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. I just came in from outside. I apologize. So I wasn't in the beginning of the discussion. Should I tell you about my project?
Yeah, Michael, just share something that you're working on right now that you're excited about within your project, and and then popcorn it over to someone else.
Great. So at the moment, I'm waiting. We're doing a hardware, renewable energy project. So we have a very indirect connection to Elon Musk. and we try to get an answer if they would be interested. So it's a patience game. I've been waiting for 3 months now. There was a meeting yesterday. I don't have a progress update. I wasn't in the meeting. And so it's really an indirect and torturous route just to get people to pay attention. But we are very happy that we have the connection. I mean, even the possibility to have a possibility to get to the Tesla ecosystem is very exciting. Yeah, so that's the latest news, I'd say.
Wonderful.
So I'm quite excited and quite, it's a bit of tension. Yeah, so I don't know who spoke and who didn't.
So Natasha, myself, and you have gone, Michael. So.
Great. So Klaus, your mic.
Okay, another guy with an accent. Yeah, I don't know if I have been here before, but I'm a retired food service executive. You know, I used to work for the Walt Disney Company for 21 years as a food service director. Did development and design for theme parks, hotels, and so on. I was in Hong Kong as the design and opening director. And then I worked for Metro Cash and Carry out of Düsseldorf as the head of corporate target group marketing, which is the largest food wholesaler in the world. So we were in 30 countries. So I retired 10 years ago and have ever since scared myself with what we have done with the food system, right? The mess we have created is just incredible. So I've been working, I'm on the leadership team with the Sarah Club Grassroots Network. You know, I'm a sector leader agriculture for Citizen Climate Lobby and business climate leaders. So I've been working, you know, trying to figure out how can we insert ourselves here in ways that actually make a difference. And so I worked with the Open Global Mind Group for about a year now, and we have really been brainstorming with an international group on how would you create a meta-level project and insert yourself here. And we started partnering with GRC. So we had conversations with David Wetzel, who is also a member of OGM. And I'm really excited to say that it seems like we're founding a group that will put in an application for the Elon Musk $100 billion challenge. And there are some people from diverse backgrounds, right? I mean, we have biologists and chemists and data scientists and so on as part of it. And the idea is, you know, to focus on agriculture, to really support the idea that land use changes are the only viable pathway to secure our future, right? To sequester, I mean, first of all, to slow down emissions and then sequester carbon out of the atmosphere and into the soil, the only place where it can really go on any time scale that is manageable, right? So yeah, so the idea is to develop, the game plan is so to develop the role of an innovations broker or impact expert at community level, you know, and then develop training and support structures to help at community level to create market intelligence, inform farmers and processes of demand, you know, retailers, wholesalers, caterers of capacity and potential in the supply chain and so on. So that's work that I used to do, you know, I had a 13.5 billion euro portfolio in my last job, working in 30 countries, right? And there are principles that apply universally to food systems anywhere in the world. You know, we all have breakfast, lunch, and dinner menus, and we have a farmer who needs to aggregate his products and transport them to a processor. So it's the same everywhere, right? We eat different things, but the core principles, the organizational principles of the food system are the same, they're universal. And in the United States, they're like painfully screwed up. I mean, it's just incredible mess that we have created here, and I was part of creating it. Just no idea that this was actually the case. So now we're trying to find out what is the best organizational structure. How can we engage a larger team to look at this and to see how we can join forces, how can we partner to bring these many moving parts together. So that's sort of but I'm like jazzed this week because we just put markers down saying, yeah, we're going to do this.
Wonderful. Well, that's awesome. I think TC, Ray, and Bimariki have not gone.
Hey, TC, how about you?
Sure. Hey, what's up, Klaus? It's exciting to see you here because Gio Man had mentioned your name as somebody who's into food systems, as am I. And so serendipitous that there you appear. So yeah, just a brief intro. I'm working on a company called Landline, which aims to empower local food systems by providing farms with tools to help increase their margins, namely by increasing their direct sales. As far as wins this week, let's see. I don't know. It hasn't been as an exciting week as last week. It's had some. Last week I had a lot of highs, and this week I feel like it's been here and there. But I think the biggest benefit about what's happened this week is also what my biggest problem is, and that's just a deeper acknowledgement of what my current problem is. So which that means that I will be able to move through it. So I don't know. But I'm not supposed to start with the problem yet. So I'll just go ahead and just say that is a good thing that's happened. And I'll popcorn over to Bemariki.
Well, thank you very much. Bemariki from Rwamanja Refugee Settlement in Uganda. The current business I have or activity is to teach permaculture and regenerative activity to refugees and host community across East Africa. For the past 1 year, I've managed to train 535 youth, women's, and foster care. Now, as the result of lockdown, I'm currently offering online courses to youth across the East African refugees camp and host community. We are also running revolving funds, which will enable refugees women, which is in terms of women empowerment project. Thank you. I would to hand the microphone to Ray.
Awesome, thank you. So this week has been a bit weird. The main thing I want to say that I'm excited about is we're about to launch a new online course, which is all about food and nutrition. It's actually from a workshop that we captured many years ago by Jerry Benetti, who has passed away now. So we feel very blessed to still have his legacy captured on an online workshop. And we used to sell this as a DVD program, which is what Farming Secrets essentially was all about, is selling DVDs around the world, bridging the gap between chemical-based farming and natural Mother Nature-based farming. And so we've spent a few months converting this over and dotting I's and crossing T's, and it's been a couple of weeks in the process of writing all the email letters and so forth. And so the artificial intelligence tool that I shared last week has definitely helped us fast track writing some of the descriptions and the emails and so forth. So we're about to hit the publish button on that this afternoon. So that's my main win and excitement share for this week. Back to you, Josh.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. So exciting stuff happening. I'm glad to hear that we're all currently and still running our projects and businesses, and things are moving forward. Sometimes we don't have the super uber exciting news to share every week, and that's okay. But we're here and we're showing up, and let's dive into the challenges section of this, where we start to mastermind and think tank our challenges within each of our businesses. This is the moment where we have to be a little vulnerable and share something that we're working on. And yeah, so I will leave it up to the room and give it to you guys to bring up something that we can mastermind together or think tank together.
Well, I have something, but I don't want to go. Klaus, you just did mute. I don't want to monopolize the time.
No, yeah, it's maybe to explain a little bit more at this meta structure, because I just look at the training course that we posted. I mean, this is all great stuff out there, right? There's so much information in the market already, but how do you make this information actionable and come together, right? So to give you an example, in the United States, we know that you need cover crops, right? Without cover crops, you can't regenerate the soil. Only 12% of American farmers are using cover crops. And out of those 12%, the majority terminate them with Roundup before they mature. And this is how the farm bill is constructed. It's an insane system, right? So the thing then is, you look around the world into other cultures. You look at France or Japan or China, Germany. These cultures have lived on the same land without destroying their soil for thousands of years, right? I mean, Japan still can feed itself, Vietnam, Germany, I mean, they all have thriving agricultural productions. But in the United States, we have already destroyed 40% of our topsoil, and we're pumping our waterways dry. I mean, it's insane what we're doing. So to shift into cover crops, that means we have to change our menus, right? I mean, what the cover crops are legumes, they're pulses, beans, garbanzo beans, hummus, right? So all of these ancient cultures have cuisines that are integrated with nature, that are integrated with what the farmer can produce reliably, sustainably, time after time, right? In the US, we don't do that. We pour synthetic nitrogen fertilizer on the soil and mine minerals and just overpower nature. And in the process, kill the entire damn ecosystem. So how do you change this? But that means you need systemic change, right? And you need to have that change happen at community level, because in order to regenerate the soil, you have to go local. You have to you have to have local, crops that are suitable to local soil, climate, water, and importantly, socioeconomics, right? You have to pay attention to the people who actually live there and grow this food. So that's why we want to bring in this brokerage idea, right? And we put in a guy who just stitches this thing together between the farmer and an aggregator. Go ahead, Ray.
No, I'm just saying that's exactly what we try and do. And you're 100% nail on the head. And this is what Farming Secrets has struggled with. So Farming Secrets as an education company has been around for 13 years. And what you said is 100%. It's all about cover crops. It's about biodiversity and all the principles of regenerative agriculture. But without consumers changing their way of buying and educating and putting a demand on the system, no change is going to happen. And so about 2 years ago, we realized that if we really wanted to change the farming system, we have to stop talking to the farmer and start bridging the gap between people buying and people growing and where the demand is. And that's essentially what Farming Secrets stands for, is to be that glue between the consumer and the producer. And that's why we're releasing Jerry's course, is because he talks more about food as medicine and also food nutrition and understanding the way that, what the animal eats is grass and what the grass eats is the biology in the soil. And if we don't nurture the soil, then that whole system kind of breaks. And so the dilemma, the thing that we face at the moment is no farmer will just wake up one day and say, I'm going to go and start doing cover crop, you know. But when the people start demanding higher quality food, and the way of achieving that becomes about exploring cover crop, we feel that that's a better push on the system, because we can't wait for governments to regulate. I'm talking more from Australia point of view, because I'm from Australia, and I've been in rooms with like Charlie Massey and you know, Bruce Pascal and a lot of big name people. And when members of parliament stand up and say, what can we do to help? Everyone in the room says, just get out of the way. Stop putting red tape. Stop complicating the system. Like, we will heal the planet ourselves. We don't need your bullshit in the way. So it's quite refreshing. And that's why we've set up our Soil Learning Centre. And a couple of months ago, we basically said, you know what? We don't want our avatar to be farmers or consumers or whatever we want to call them. Our avatar is actually the soil. It's a living organism, and the soil is who we serve. We wake up every day to make the soil better today than what it was yesterday, or inspire someone to make it better tomorrow than what it is today. And so that's been a big paradigm shift for us, because all our marketing now is not about the farmer being more profitable. It's about the soil being healthier. And that's helped us build a better conversation with people to understand exactly what we do. And I don't care whether you're a permaculture, syntropic, regenerative, like, as long as you're nurturing the soil, then you're doing the right thing. We get complicated by the techniques above the ground. And for us, it's really everything about below the ground. So that's kind of where we're coming from a Farming Secrets and a Soil Learning Centre point of view, and we're trying to release as much content as we possibly can that helps people understand about nutrition, nutritional value of food, not how much it weighs and its cost and things like that. Because people think, oh, organic food costs too much. But if we start not thinking about kilos and dollars, and we start thinking about nutrition per dollars, it's a completely different conversation. You eat one apple instead of having to buy 10 to get the same nutritional value. And post-COVID, everyone's really waking up to this and seeing that the food system did break, the food system did have shortages, and, you know, people wanting to grow their own food. And so we've had a huge number of people asking, like, how do I set up a raised garden bed in my backyard or on a balcony? And so we're now, you know, partnering with people to fill that gap as well. So yeah, that's, hopefully that gives you a bit of what you said there before about being the glue and someone being that advocate. My kind of name is Regen Ray, because I'm trying to be that person who doesn't own a farm. I have no seed company. I'm not selling chemicals. I have no vested interest in selling you cover cropping because I have a seed business, which tends to be the trend. People always advocate what they're doing because there's a hidden agenda. We're purely 100% education. You know, so there is no product behind us that's like motivated by seeds or some magic input that is going to activate the biology on your soil when Mother Nature can do it naturally. You know, so that's been our kind of blessing and curse. You know,
there's nothing wrong with being profitable either. I mean, you have to make money so you can, of
course,
and make a living, right? Yeah, so totally.
100%. Yeah.
No, I mean,
but in the past, yeah.
I'm totally with you. I mean, this, but what you're saying is like spot on. It's a component, right? Consumer education and linking the understanding. But I live in a really progressive community, Bend, Oregon, right? I mean, the farmers markets and, you know, GSAs. I mean, everything is going. But I went to the local hospital. I had the local NGO passed me around. You know, I asked to connect me with Whole Foods buyers and so on and so on, and meet. So I'm talking to this procurement manager for the local hospitals, and I said, "Why don't you buy from local farmers? I mean, what would it take for you to do this?" And her response was that these guys are too unreliable. I mean, they don't know how the market works. You know, and so I can't bank on this, right? But then when you think about, they have typically 12 to 16 week rotational menus, right? That's what they do in these catering operations. Schools, the same thing. They serve thousands of meals a day. And they know, she basically knows what menu she's going to serve August 15 to how many people, right? So there is typically in the market a communication process, you know, where the buyer informs the farmer, here's what I need, you know, for August 15. And the farmer then coordinates his crop cycles. And in most cases, it's not the farmer, but the aggregator who is in between, right? The co-op or whatever that is. And then they negotiate a contract and then supply, as specified products. And so that is missing because the companies, the corporate structures have brought the entire supply chain in-house, and totally corrupted the market. So you don't find independent brokers anymore. It's a rarity. And the ones that you do have are not really connected well enough in the market, right? They don't make it from farm to fork to the consumer who is interested in these products, because the retail is missing, right? So to stitch this together, right? To go into, you have to almost take an audit when you go into a local market and say, who's here, right? What are the players? And what part of the market is sympathetic to me, right? Wanting to regenerate and wanting to do this innovation. And then you stitch these guys together into, and so that the products can start flowing, from farm to fork.
So Klaus, have you ever heard of the company Yolele?
Which one?
Yolele?
I just
think
heard
I'm
them pitch
gonna-
yesterday. They are amazing.
Yeah. So so they're a company. You heard them pitch yesterday, Kyle? Is that what you said? That's
Yeah.
cool. I've actually interviewed the two founders there on the podcast, and they're selling an ancient grain called fonio, right? And I believe it's a cover crop, which is really good. But the problem that the challenges that they've come into, and this is an African crop that is usually subsistence farmers grow it because they know it's good as a cover crop, and it repairs their soil and everything, but it also has nutritional value, and it can be turned into a grain that's really nutritional, right? But it takes processing, and there's all of these subsistence farmers, like you said, they don't have the infrastructure, or they don't have the understanding of how to take it into the bigger food markets, right? And so what Fonio's is kind of done is been able to take, and although they're shipping a product that's from Africa all the way to the States and other places, which doesn't seem very regenerative, the systems that they're creating in regenerative farming, I think, can be applied here as well, with changing our palate, building out the infrastructure so that we can create products that are being used in the market and changing the mindset. One thing that I thought was really nice, the founder is actually a cook, right? And so he's talking about different ways that you can prepare different things, different ways that you can prepare fonio, and different ways that you can introduce this into your palate, because it's not necessarily something that's widely established, right? And so I think being able to help us to introduce some of these foods that aren't normally in our palate, and have a more biodiverse diet would help the agriculture system, I think, in moving towards a more regenerative way. Sorry, I just had to bring that up because I feel like it's important to the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, totally. We're saying all the same things here, really, basically. I'm just putting into the chat here, this is the schedule of the Menus of Change initiative at Harvard University that's running this week. It's hosted by the Culinary Institute of America in partnership with Harvard. Look at the schedule and look at the topics. And Jeffrey Sachs was the opening keynote speaker, and he was just blowing me away, because he was basically saying that today, the Nestle, Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola are the new coal companies of the 21st century, right? Because the damage these guys are doing is incomprehensible, and they just have to move. That's amazing, right? This conference is directed at corporate chefs and corporate food and beverage directors from the big companies. Marriott, McDonald's, Disney, they're all there, right? So to have such a progressive thought, in the industry emerging is really stunning. But then, of course, seeing some actually change happening is a different story, right? Because the way that and I designed restaurants like this, like fast food restaurants, super high speed, assembly line type restaurants. The way this thing is structured is that you can't change, you can't buy local, regional, fresh food, right? Because they have no kitchens, they have no cooks. I mean, McDonald's, there isn't a knife in the kitchen to slice a tomato, right? So to shift into these practices, 80% of the industry can't do it in the way that they have configured their supply chains, right? So you have to build an alternate community-based system around it that outcompetes them, right? And that requires a full community level input, systems input.
Definitely. Yeah, this is a fascinating challenge to kind of brainstorm here. And we could probably take the entire time with this one because it's pretty big. Russ, it's good to have you, and Kyle as well. You guys both hopped on afterwards. I just wanted to introduce you guys into the room. You guys probably been listening for a little bit, but yeah, introduce yourself. We'll start with Kyle. Tell us something exciting in your work, and then we can kind of keep the conversation going as well.
Sure. Thank you. I came to GRC to learn more about the regenerative agriculture, regenerative community, and understand the philosophies and applications in business and in life. I'm currently trying to move progressively more into regenerative agriculture and to try to support innovations in the food and ag system in particularly connecting, philanthropic capital with those meaningful operators or farmers who are trying to do meaningful things, and feeling really energized by some of these pitches from members of the Slow Money community that I've been hearing lately. Those who are not familiar, Slow Money connects investors to regenerative agriculture businesses. Yolele pitched yesterday, and I don't know where TC went, but this was the pitch competition I was trying to get TC into. I guess I'll pass it on now.
Yeah, Russ, how you doing today? Good to have you.
Hey guys, I'm not sure you hear me very well because it's pretty bad connection here in Colombia right now. But if you can hear me, hello to everybody. Just joined late because I couldn't connect earlier because of the connection. But nice to be here and hope that I can give some value to somebody later on. That's all for now.
Awesome, good to have you, Russ. You're coming in fine right now, so good to have you. Kyle, yeah, if you could share a link to the Slow Money, Ray just mentioned that in the chat, that would be good to have. It's really cool to hear Yolele's story and how they're going about things. So I'm glad you were able to see their pitch, and it would be cool to kind of do they record their pitch events? Oh, you're muted, Kyle.
Thanks. Sorry. The selection committee is not recorded, but the pitch competitions themselves are, and that will be happening in a few weeks. Happy to distribute or send out the Eventbrite for tickets, and maybe there's something to be gained from it for those who are interested. I want to put in the link right now.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks, Kyle.
And it's a national organization, so I'm a part of one chapter. So there is an organization in New York City, Santa Cruz, San Diego County, I think Kansas. They're everywhere. Okay.
Cool. Thanks, Kyle, for sharing that. So we can linger here if we have more conversation to have around Klaus's challenge. And Klaus, could you help us to kind of frame it a little bit more? So you're looking for a way to bring in these game pieces on, it sounds like a very localized way to change the systems, to have food system change in a local area? Or are you trying to do it from kind of the bigger picture in, or from a local outward? No, you're muted, Klaus.
That's a rookie mistake. I have a request for proposal that is circulating really high level. Why don't I maybe share that with you? Can I take the screen for that purpose, or should I send you a copy?
Yeah, you can take the screen. We want to open it up for a couple other challenges as well. So maybe let's stay on this one for about maybe 10 to 20 minutes, kind of tops, and then we can move into another challenge. But I'll also open up the screen, and then please share that as well so we can look into that.
Okay, so here's the,
open that up. There's the screen.
Yeah, here's the document. The participant screen sharing is disabled, but I can just talk it if you want to open it up yourself.
Yeah, I just opened it, and I opened up screen share for everybody as well.
Okay, so so here as a request for proposal, so you can scan through this. So the idea is to map market participants engaged in connecting farmers with logistics providers, processors, wholesalers, retailers, caterers, and direct-to-consumer sales. So while each community will have, did I share the screen or not? No. Okay.
No, but I have it pulled up here, and I think other people can pull it up as well.
Okay. All right. So let me go this here. Let me just make this a little bit bigger. Is that big enough? So we want to connect market participants, right, from a farmer to every step of the way that the food needs to travel to reach the consumer. And so at the center of this is the role of an innovations broker or impact expert, whose mission is to connect market participants to create a farm-to-fork system. And that will really start with an audit, right? You take a community level audit to map all your players within the market. So and then this brokerage function will create market intelligence. You basically do research in your community to then inform farmers and processors of demand on the one side. Here is what the hospital chain would be willing to buy. Here's your local school system. You know, if you get organized and structured, here's what we would be willing to buy from you. And then inform retailers, wholesalers, and caterers of the actual capacity and potential that's in the supply chain, meaning in your market, how many farmers do you have produce what? What kind of processes do you have, right? Do you have a local slaughterhouse, for example? Can you process meat? Things like this. So then the broker will negotiate contracts between farmers and market participants to grow specific types of crops and volumes to be delivered at specific times, and logistics capacity to pick up and deliver such crops, right? So then what we are looking to do, and this is part of the Elon Musk challenge, right? This is where we are developing a meta level structure. So we're looking for a mapping tool that will guide the innovations broker. So we are basically developing innovations brokers, right? People who are working in the community. And so we're guiding you through the process of identifying and logging market participants as a base function. And then we would then add other modules to connect additional resources like local currency development, resources for intentional communities, kitchens to contract meals with hospitals, for outpatients, kitchens to provide meals to food stamp recipients, and so on and so on. So you have a whole lot of stuff that you can do inside the community. And then we want to build a modular format support structure, right, where large-scale players who build tools and who build service structures and connect those to the community on an as needed or as modular identified basis. So that's sort of in a nutshell, right? High level sounds real easy, but there's a lot of moving parts, obviously. But that's sort of the foundational idea behind it. And the idea of innovations broker is actually really making its rounds. And I'm going to post an article that I want to get distracted right now to fish around in my internet. But did I stop screen sharing? I did stop, right? Yeah. So the idea of an innovations brokerage really recognizes that there are behind the scene connections, right, that market participants are not aware of. So even here in Bend, in a small community with 100 and some thousand people, I mean, this farmer is not aware that there is a share kitchen available, right? And he could pre-wash some of his produce and send it to the retail stores. He hasn't even thought about it, right? But if you connect them, and then you say, or maybe there is an independent person who would love to take your produce and process it in this for rent kitchen, and then put a margin on it and sell it into the retail market. So there are all kinds of ideas, right, that you can start floating to build out the community and to create support business startups, right, with marketing and so on. So that's it basically.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think this would be a really good project to send through our Moker Mastermind process, and we can chat about it a little bit more later. But typically, so like TC is going to be giving his mastermind presentation in the next little bit, but we use the Moker system. Have you ever heard of OKRs, Klaus?
I don't think so.
Objective key results, and we use a system that's in addition to that, that's called the Moker system, mission objective key results. It was used by Google. It's used by a lot of, it's a project management tool for new projects, right? So and it's a tool to share projects across a group of people, get feedback on it, and track your progress and be held accountable to that in a group. And so TC is going to be kind of presenting his Moker. Ray's presented his Moker before, and basically we hold you accountable on this group. And we're also trying to get and have you be held accountable to your own metrics that you have set up to show that you're moving your project forward. And so essentially what that looks like, you fill out a Moker document as your kind of your submission to the program, and then you do a presentation to the group. You spend pretty much the entire time on these weekly meetings. We'll devote one just to you, and then we'll work through it, and then we hold you accountable each week. We build a kind of cadence to kind of check in with you when we talk about, oh, what's exciting and new. You'll tell us what's exciting in the work that you've presented to us. And then you share a challenge that's come up within the framework of your mission, the objectives that you're setting for a 3-month period project. And then, so what you're going to accomplish within 3 months, and then the key results and the KPIs, or whatever you want to call them, that are showing you that you're making progress on this and helping us to understand where you're making progress. So if that's something you're interested in, I can talk more about it afterwards. And it sounds like for this kind of challenge, there's what is the big thing that you're working it towards right now? Are you looking for connections? Are you looking for what's the challenge that you're trying to uncover right now for this, this proposal?
If you're going onto the GRC website under general discussion, you can see how this team is forming and how we're discussing the project itself. And I think it's under general discussion. Yeah, and what we don't know at this point is how this will build up organizationally, right? Because we will develop a meta structure that will have a bunch of modules that need to develop each, and they're somewhat unique in each case. So this is just like a blue sky, throwing mud against the wall. Why don't we try something like this? And then spin it into greater and greater detail. And this has gone through a number of iterations already. Is the Open Global Mind group, right? So there's a lot of really smart people who are in this group there, who had degrees of input on how could something like this work. And so I'm not sure yet if this is the right structure, right? And if this makes sense. I mean, it just has to sort of play out, right? And evolve. But I definitely would love for you to track this and maybe blend yourself into it, you know, and help us with the organizational frame that we need to develop.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, let's chat kind of one-on-one to kind of help you get set up on a Mocher, and I'll put in my link to set up a meeting together. You said you're in Pacific time.
Pacific time. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I'll send that link here right now so we can set up a time to chat. But as we kind of transition right here, does anybody else have a challenge that they're having within their business that we can bring to the group and think tank here?
Sure, I'll pop. Unless somebody else subs something. Nope. Okay, so then Kyle, I'm gonna be looking at you on this one. So I guess it just occurs to me, I'm kind of going through. I continue to have investor meetings. I usually have pretty positive responses. I feel like one of the main things that I'm struggling with is this, right? So my plan of attack for my company is to, number one, build these kind of simple, easy to use marketing tools for farmers. I started piloting it, and then leverage that data to trial new types of marketplaces. So at its core, I'm from the broader perspective, and something that I've been actively in denial about, I am a marketplace style startup, which is considered one of the riskiest categories. A lot of many investors are very wary of that. And so so for me, I feel like in order to, as I'm trying to raise money, I currently have a 500K raise that I'm shopping around and advertising. In the near term, how can I find? And so there's this concept of total addressable market. So there's this issue where, per USDA numbers, how do I justify a business just with, ideally only with the marketing tools that I'm planning to build that gets me to a TAM, to justify a 500K raise, I really need to have a TAM of about 500 million. Right now, the dynamics of it, I'm starting with an initial service cost, free to start, to $10 a month. The issue is, and here's where the numbers get shaky, because I'm just kind of thinking about this. Per the USDA Census of Ag, there are approximately 2 million farms in the US. 96% of those are family farms. But the first thing that an investor does is this back of napkin calculation. Well, how many farms are there in the US? Well, there's 2 million. How much are you charging? $10. What's the TAM then? $20 million. Or I'm sorry, which is nothing. That's going to help me justify more like a 20K raise instead of a 500K raise. And so, but the interesting thing is, I don't really think those numbers are correct. And I'm trying to pinpoint how I can justify this a little bit more by being like, what is my real TAM for the marketing tools? And there's other ways I could justify a larger TAM and say, look, we're not going to just do these marketing things I've already thought a lot about. We're also going to do farm management stuff and say like accounting tools for farms and whatever. But last thing I ever want to do is build an accounting tool. It does not sound like any fun. I used to work at a bank. I'm not doing that again. And so I want to stick to this fun stuff, which I think is also the more important stuff and the more profitable stuff. So there's this USDA number of 2 million farms, but that is so clearly false for a number of reasons. Like independently speaking to small farms that sell direct, I know for a fact they are not taking part in the census. There's an estimated 63 million gardeners in the US. That's a lot better than 2. That gets me up to a 600 million TAM. But how do I tie that in? And then also there's a lot of churn. And so then what you see is this kind of constant, and by looking at the USDA Census of Ag has a category farms, less than 11 years in operation. And you look at these numbers going back from the last one in 2017, back to 2012 to 2007, and you see these regional fluctuations in these new farmers, of them going up and down in different areas. So that indicates to me churn, which is verified by qualitative kind of feedback, whether it be news articles or anecdotal reports of, Trident Farming left left to do something else. There should be an acronym. Did you ever hear that? Filth failed in London, tried Hong Kong, like something like that, but failed in farming, fifth something. So yeah, so that's what my challenge is justifying this larger TAM size that I think that my product deserves.
That's hard. And remind me the acronym for TAM.
Oh, total addressable market. So and then there's the three. There's a TAM, SAM, and SOM, and I forget. And total. What is it? Oh, no, serviceable. Hold on, I have to look it up. I forget. But they're basically like the big circle, then the ones that you're probably going to hit, and then the TAM, SOM, SAM. Here, there's this three circles is. I'll share my screen. Is kind of the thing. It's sort of funny. It's almost like service attainable, service addressable, and then the total addressable, and then the kind of famous Airbnb TAM slide, for example. Let's see, is this it? I'm just gonna click on the first link. But it just shows an example of. Come on, can we get in there? Oh, there we go. Okay, so yeah, this is and this is how it correlates into a deck, right? So, 2 billion trips worldwide. As far as books online, it's 532, and then trips with Airbnb is 10.6. And this was a projection on their side, but they nailed it. So good on them. But for me, it's like, this is all of rural America. This is like the sub-rural area, sub-rural, and then this is like kind of suburbs which have proximity to farmland. That's sort of the way that I'm looking at it. And yep.
Anybody have any thoughts there?
Well, who have you raised from before? Was this a challenge or objection with your current members of the cap table?
I have not raised from anybody for this project.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misheard. I thought you said you had 500,000 in, but your target.
No. My target at the moment is 500,000. Maybe my need is to lower the target.
Perhaps your real market is not the farmers.
It's not. It's the consumers. And herein lies the issue. I don't have a strategy for. Sorry, if you can mute yourself. I think there's some feedback on your audio. The problem is to get to that much larger pool. That means that I'm going to have to start managing transactions, connecting buyers to sellers. That's the only way that I've figured out a way that I can do it is some kind of bill back to the buyer. But at which point I've successfully created a marketplace. And that's a secondary business model from where I'm starting. And the secondary business model starting a marketplace is not a trivial thing to turn on. So I've reduced, that has always been my intention, is to launch some type of marketplace. But I worked backwards with the intention of starting with the supply side. And so starting with, sure, I can find all the people that want to buy local food. There's tons of demand for that. The question is, how am I getting it and how am I delivering it to them? So yeah.
But say you give greater value to the farmer. would it be possible to get more money from the farmer? I mean, you can leave it to the farmer to figure out how to what degree you make them profit and how to get these profits materialized. But if you provide added value, it's a reasonable assumption that at some point your services would be worth $20 a month or $100 a month. Maybe it's a tier system.
Yeah, I agree. It's more just how do I better illustrate that to potential investors that I'm going to scale this up, and how is that how are those charges gonna be there, and I don't know, the easiest metric to try to increase is probably my initial customers, and I think it is in fact north of that 2 million farms. I'm just not for sure where it lands, because that's sort of the base number, and then my target revenue per customer is just a multiplier on that, or is a multiplier on that. So I guess I'm just saying they work hand in hand. But
last idea, spitballing here. What about all these people that were mentioned before, either that want to make a small garden on the rooftop? Is there a way to get them involved somehow?
Yeah, I think so.
So that brings you up to about 330. No, that makes it a much more sexy, sexy market. Like urban hipsters.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think it's just how do I articulate it? I don't know where this number comes from. Estimated 63 million gardeners in the U.S. Some portion of them produce excess produce, and I believe that at some point they would be a target or something to tie into these kind of like linking spot market making and food, really.
You see, what is the profile of the person you're trying to reach?
Well, initially, I'm really just starting with farms that sell direct, and then I think I branch out from there. Farms that sell direct sort of seem like a no-brainer, especially rural farm stands. The pilot was more or less designed with that in mind, and yeah.
And so what do you want them to do? I mean, what's the purpose of the advertisement?
Oh, so what I want them to do is, well, okay, so to the background of this product is, well, it's a couple things, but I started with a lot of conversations, doing surveying, a lot of interviews of farmers. A couple things stuck out of those conversations. One is that farmers want help marketing direct to consumers hard, and they don't know how to do it. So that's sort of that. And then the thing further that stuck out to me is that farms that sell direct, particularly, aren't making any type of customer database. There's decades of Harvard Business School research which shows that retaining a customer is cheaper than getting a new one. And especially with a lot of these farms are so small, they don't have a regular sales location, hours, or inventory. So yet they have highly loyal customers. So any communication is going to be a benefit. Things like, I'm not going to be at the market this Thursday, or, I'm going to have whatever, my fresh herbs are in this week. All these types of things. And we know I know from the research I've done on buyer personas that consumers will defer purchases for these types of items if they know they can get them locally and direct. So this is just my pilot, right? This is my initial business model, is this kind of marketing service for that's targeting small and especially rural farms. I ran it last year. I wound it down towards the end of the year, but had some good results. So now I'm effectively relaunching it now, while in the meantime trying to raise some funds so I can best scale what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I just sent out a copy from our local group here. It's High Desert Food and Farm Alliance. And they're doing pretty much what you plan on doing. You know, they're linking small farmers, community level farmers, and they're providing them with websites where they can advertise their product and make that consumer accessible. Now, and what I would add, and I haven't gotten involved here, but what I would add to this is a logistics, is a server, right? Not Uber, but finding a local guy who is willing to pick up and deliver products, or organize the entire flow of farm direct sales to consumer, in whichever way that is organized in your market. In some places, they have drop-off locations that they're contracted, you know, where the farmer drops off deliveries to, and customers pick them up. But so that, you know, if you think through the logistics of the process of getting these small farmers to actually reach their customers, you know, both ways, meaning they can put on their website what they have to sell, and the customer can order it.
Yeah, I'm avoiding that wholesale. You know, if you look at business models like Uber Eats or Postmates or any of these last mile delivery services, they pretty much lead cash. They're very hard to manage. Yeah,
your mic is going really fuzzy. Is anybody else getting that feedback? Okay, I'm not sure what it is, but it's really rough to hear.
Once. Is this any better? Is the same?
That's better. That's way better.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was just gonna say that for the time being, I'm avoiding last mile delivery wholesale, and that is because if you look at the business models that are trying to do this of fulfillment, they pretty much just bleed money. You know, there's an interesting stat, and that's that twice as much money, twice as much revenue is transacted on site at farms for direct sales versus farmers markets. So again, what this kind of emphasizes me is that there's this large rural economy out there that's not really being serviced. And so that's really what I want to fit into, these places where, at least initially, so for me, the way that I'm tracking this first is how do I provide value to farmers and these people that are growing food and have food to sell. So you know, collecting data on that. Ideally, I'd be running some of these marketing tools at a loss to leverage this, but I may not have the luxury of doing that. And then in the end result is to sort of collate these data points, do an analysis of like, okay, this is a place where I have a good saturation of farms. You know, by the simple nature of the service that I'm offering, I know where farms are, what they produce, and how many customers they have. And so using that data, and I'm much more interested in starting new types of in-person markets that are more profit-driven versus a traditional farmers market that still give farmers most of the dollar spend, you know, up 80% or up, and that are hosted, you know, in locations that people normally shop at times that people normally shop. That's my end goal with this. And I think that's the route to a lot of profitability. But making that step and convincing people that I can do that, make that leap is what I'm afraid of is the most challenging. You're muted.
You may consider looking into your market and see how does food go from the farm to the consumer right now. I mean, there must be some mechanism that they have organized already. And then it's not for you to do it, but it's you know, contacting and amplifying that service. I mean, like here in Bend, there's a small, I mean, an individual entrepreneur with a truck and a couple of employees who is taking care of this, right? And he's completely self-employed, contract worker sort of thing. So there may be something of that sort, you know, that doesn't involve any liability on your side or having to buy a truck and organize that.
Well, I was just going to say that also the data may be helpful in a way to cities and municipalities or or there might be other products that come along with the data being used correctly for these smaller farms, and making it more useful for them to work together collaboratively to bring things to market, right? And so it might not look like the individual one farmer to table, but bringing farmers together to be able to sell, and that might be a higher price point, and it might be that you reach you reach more gardeners, you reach more people, and so it changes the price point and dynamic of the product.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting on that note. Farmigo, which is a notable kind of it's almost like a Shopify for farms. Their original model was to set up distribution points, and find places in local communities where you could kind of collate the supply chain of local food, and unfortunately the model is a failure. I don't know the specifics for why it didn't work out, but they've switched to just doing e-com. A lot of these food directories, like the one you shared, there's many of these all across the country, but there's not enough local motivation to go and find these directories. And so for your average consumer, it's for your average consumer, it's not something that they even take the 5-second deep breath to be like, oh, what's a better way? And that's what I think is lacking, is sort of this like, and that's the thing that I would love to try to solve is this, what's this kind of a gold standard source for finding and accessing local food. I don't think it exists. There's a lot of people that are trying, but I don't think it exists, and I think a better job can be done, and that's what I would like to do.
So where the market is trending is local branding. So HDFFNA, and I've been working with, when I first came to Bend in 2016, I worked with them for a while, and they have this logo developed here, Food and Farm Alliance, which you can see on the product of local farmers. And they put it up on their stands, they put it up on their website, that they're a member of this. And this is a way to trust, to develop a trusting a base, right? Because you can't believe organic anymore. There are so many federal, national labels that have been completely corrupted. So to develop a local brand where you provide not the threshold of, I don't trust you because you have violated our trust, or yes, you indeed, you comply with our regenerative organic standards, so you're part of it. These guys are actually making good money. I don't know, like 15 employees or so. They have created a number of revenue coming out of advertising, getting their websites featured and so on. And then also they get quite a few donations from the local hospital, for example, right? Because the healthcare sector, the insurance companies, they want this kind of service to be provided. I mean, I'm totally pushing for local branding, right? Because the only people you can trust is the ones that you know, and you know where they live, right?
Right. I guess for me, and again, what I'm trying to do is very much impact and mission driven. That if we're still using the existing distribution system, I feel like it's exploitative, and I feel like that margins are very thin for farmers, and so that's one of the kind of the core mission is how do you increase the margin for farmers? How do you help them get more of that dollar that's being spent at retail? It's hard because there's a lot of price competition. People go into the grocery store. Walmart's is one of the biggest distributors of groceries, or is by a long shot the largest distributor of groceries. And of course, comparing those price points make it really tough. And so I don't know. For me, it's all about kind of getting stepping out of the way and trying to make it easier for people to connect directly with their local farms.
So I don't know that we're going to solve this one. right off the bat.
Maybe you can get someone else to pay for it, not directly, but as a system. I mean, if I sell draft beer in Wisconsin, so I want to know who is the crazy person who is willing to pay more for a cucumber, and will only go for the local organic brand. You know, this is exactly the kind of loyal customer that if I can know where they are and I can advertise for them, or maybe offer them a discount for the first month, then they see that my local beer is the greatest, and they buy my stuff instead of Heineken. So maybe there is a synergy waiting to happen, where you can get the farmers to retain all this money and get the infrastructure paid for by, it's not exactly advertising, but somebody else's promotions, because it's a very lucrative market. It's exactly the kind of people who will spend another $15 a month for other services.
See, that's exactly what we're trying to accomplish, is to develop best practice systems where we can share information what other communities have done successfully, you know, what's best practice, what works, and so on. Because while the application is unique to your community, it's the same things, right? I mean, you're trying to do the same thing everywhere. You're trying to have a small farmer get access to the market.
Yeah, this is very relatable, both Klaus, what you had mentioned, and TC's work with his startup and project. So we are coming close to the end here. We're not going to be able to solve this one today, and it'll take some time as TC works through this as well. And so not this coming Thursday, but the following Thursday is when TC is going to present his mission, objective, and key result project for the next 3 months, how he's going to be taking his business forward for the next 3 months, and giving us a presentation on that. So we're going to spend time, if you know, TC, if you could just, for the room real quick, let people know who you want to in the room, or who the group here can invite. You know, I know Russ is working in that impact investment area. Maybe he knows some contacts, but who you would like more of in the room, what type of understanding and knowledge, so that we can bring that to the following week. So not this coming week, but the week after.
Well, it's kind of twofold, right? I mean, you know, I've articulated a business model, and so I'm trying to figure out how to scale that based off the research that I've done and the things that I've built so far. And so I'm trying to raise money on that idea. So you know, that's things that would be beneficial to that goal are what it's probably what I'm going for. So yeah, I mean, you know, as far as I mean, I think from the perspective of, say, Klaus's feedback is maybe a change in overall direction for what I'm trying to do, which of course I would like to chat more about, but that would be a pretty big reset as far as what the outline goal is, at least for that, because the underpinnings of the goal that I've set for raising funding is sort of tied to where I am now. So yep, I don't know if that was a answer, but it's an answer.
So raising funds is going to be a big objective for this smoker, and how you're doing that, pitch deck, and those types of things. So we are kind of closing up. If you have people that can if you want to be there and be a part of that conversation, please show up in a couple of weeks, and I'll be putting out emails to let you guys know about that. But also, let's wrap this up with some information on what we're going to take away from the conversation. we've been listening, we've been chatting with one another. Unfortunately, a few of us have had to come in and out, and but whatever you're taking away from this conversation, or whatever you've kind of gained from it, so that you can apply into your business, that's what we're gonna chat about right now. Or let us know what you're going to be doing this coming week, and reporting on when we come back in 2 weeks' time. So I'll start us off. I'm trying to get ready for a vacation and enjoy the vacation. So there's going to be some emailings and those types of things. TC, I'm going to follow up with you to get a small little explainer video that we can put into an email and post up on YouTube, and then get that in our mailing so that we can promote your event. I'm trying to get my emails ready, so that's something that I'm working my email broadcasts more consistent, and getting the recorded versions of these more consistent, and then pulling out the really fun pieces that we got from each conversation into some highlights that we can put up onto YouTube as well. And I have like almost a year's worth of these conversations that we can kind of pull from as well. We've had some really deep conversations, so hopefully we can start weeding through a lot of that content as well. So those are some of the things I'm working on, and yeah, I'm excited to kind of hear the progress that's we're kind of making with individual projects, and would love to mastermind and work with TC's work in a couple of weeks as well. So I'm going to pass it over to Russ.
I just want to give some feedback actually to TC. I think this is his name, right? I can only see one person at a time, so I'm on my mobile, so I don't see everybody's names and faces. But basically, I was just thinking, right? From an investment point of view, that you're going to struggle, I believe, at this moment, because I don't really see a clear structure of game plan. The market seems a little bit uncertain, and that I think we've got to be really clear about what we want and what we're doing to have a chance of getting investment capital. I think also you'd be better off served to actually get it going, bootstrap it, basically, do it under your own capital, have some success, have some traction, and then once you've got a working model that has traction, then go to people with pockets, because at the moment I think there's just too much risk involved for anybody to say, hey, I will give you some without taking a huge chunk of your business. You're going to pay a lot more at this moment, for someone to take a risk. Whereas if you show, okay, it's working, I've managed to get this working, I've bootstrapped it, then you'll pay a lot less in equity, basically, to get money long term. So the advice would be to work out exactly what is the clear game plan, what is the pain points of your customers, what are they willing to pay, what is the market, and then actually get it working, actually get some customers, get some traction, and then at that point, how can I scale it, and go to market for investment at that point. That would be my advice at this point. But looking forward to getting to know you more. Pass it on to who's next. Hang on, I have to go different screen. I'm going to show you Michael Mosinson.
Yes. What, like some feedback, or what? What's the question?
Typically, at this point,
because you said it's about over, I would share a problem, but I don't want to take your time.
Yeah, just share what you got out of today's meeting, and what you're gonna take away.
Yeah, I really like the model of bringing stuff to the surface, not from the point of view that there is a structure and some feedback, because I'm in my own world, thinking about what I'm thinking and what I find convenient to think about. So being accountable to others and hearing others struggle and answering questions that are not mine seems very, very beneficial to me. So I really like it. It's my first time, you know. So so this is what I got from it. It was a very a good introduction. I think I'll keep on doing it, and I
Wonderful,
hope
Michael.
I can you know. I hope it can help me push my project further.
Yeah, definitely. And feel free. We're here typically weekly. So keep on coming over and joining us for these think tank discussions with your fellow Regenpreneurs. So let's pass it over to Bemariki. If you're there, just share something that you've taken away from the meeting today.
Well, thank you very much. This meeting was inspiring. What mostly inspired me is that it's vital to be connected with minded people and also share ideas. So this helps for a project to move on, because as we have principles and ethics in permaculture, which tells us that self-sufficient is a myth. So when people are connected, it is where change favors. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, we all need that connection to build out and have each other's thrive. And I feel like we're in that space of connecting each other's edges and expanding our edges here. So that's a great principle to share. Thanks, Enrique. Natasha, if you could share something you took away from today's meeting.
Absolutely. Thank you for letting me be part of this. I kind of related a lot with what TC it's saying, because my business partner and I was trying to do the same thing with hemp farmers. But everyone is so secretive and like, no, we can't do this way and stuff. So it's kind of hard. And it's also kind of hard to work like from farm to table, which is something that we're trying to do too. So it would be great to just keep listening how to solve this problem. But I think it's mostly to like have a good communication with the community, with the people, especially with the consumer.
Yeah, wonderful. I think that's important feedback for us all as we're building out these systems, is to have a really good feedback loop with our local communities and the people that we're serving. So yeah, thank you guys. It's always a pleasure to work through these challenges with you. We will not be having our next meeting on Thursday, but we will be coming back the following Thursday. And again, TC will be doing his Moker presentation that week. So looking forward to having you guys there. Thanks again. If you guys need to reach out, I'll put my link in to schedule a time with me. If you want to post up your own Moker and presentation, or if you have any other questions or needs, I'm always available and dedicate some Wednesdays and Thursdays. Typically, I dedicate to conversations with other Regenpreneurs and supporting them. So I just put that in the chat. And yeah, any last words before we hop off here today?
I hope it didn't scare Klaus off.
No, I think he had a drop, but he had a lot of information in there. But yeah,
I have to follow up with him and pick some of that stuff. It wasn't really he really got into it. I felt like maybe wasn't the best for him.
Yeah,
probably more fitting for a one-on-one. All right, but I totally want to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome, Michael. he's in the UPC discussions. I see him quite a bit in there, so he's definitely around.
All right. Talk to y'all soon.
All right, bye everybody. Have a good evening.
Bye.